Compression is a word that every audio producer will have to know at some point. It is one of the bread and butter techniques of audio production, but it can be a little hard to get at first. Compression is a kind of dynamics processing, but in order to understand what that word really means, we need to first understand what dynamics are. Let's take this example of one of my vocal tracks. Without even listening to it, you can tell that I'm singing more quietly here and more loudly here just by looking at the waveform. This fluctuation of volume or amplitude is called dynamics, and the range from the softest point to the loudest point is called dynamic range. Compression is a tool used to compress the dynamic range, making the loudest parts softer. It has many very good uses, but for vocals, an important use of compression is lessening the dynamic range of the voice in order to make the whole thing louder without any clipping. This helps it sit better in a mix, especially one where the other parts don't have much dynamic range. Let's see how it works by opening Neutron. As you can see, there are multiple parameters, and I'll just go through them in order. Attack is how fast the compressor begins compressing after the sound has gone over the threshold. Release is the opposite. It's how fast the compressor stops compressing after the sound has gone back down below the threshold. Ratio is how hard the compressor is compressing. If you have a higher ratio, it compresses more. Makeup gain is used to add gain back after the compressor has compressed the audio. Mix allows you to mix the processed and unprocessed signal, or compressed and uncompressed signal. And last but not least, threshold is the point at which the compressor begins compressing. If you set the threshold lower, then the compressor will compress a lot faster. It'll be a lot more sensitive than if you set it higher. So let's take a look at how the compressor reacts to my particular vocal track. I've set up a little cycle here, and let's just watch. Wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us stardust, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us stardust, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us stardust, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us stardust, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us stardust, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us stardust, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us stardust, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us, wants to make us stardust, wants to fire at us, wants to make us. Hey, thanks so much for watching! Just to let you know, in this video I actually only showed one use of compression. There are many ways to use a compressor. It doesn't always have to be a fast attack and release. Just try to keep in mind what each of the controls on the compressor is doing, and with a little trial and error you'll be getting the hang of it. Thanks again, and happy mixing!